So effective teaching for teens. So at my church, I have the luxury of being not only the children's ministry director, but also the youth leader. So I kind of wear a lot of hats, like probably most everybody in this room. So I retired from being youth leader, and then my pastor said no. And so I got called back into it, and so I do youth along with the children's ministry. Okay, so I just need to play something really quick for you, if it will. Can you guys hear that? You guys know this song? Should have chose a different one. Oh, we got a few minutes. I just saw a text. We can start at 3. Look at that. Woohoo! Back in the black. Anybody heard that song before? All right, a couple of people. Okay, so I couldn't make my point as much as I wanted to with that, but we'll get to it in a moment. Okay, so here we go. Effective teaching for teens. That handout is also in here. And again, I'm making everybody work, so it's got fill in the blanks and all that. So it looks like this with these cool teenagers on top. So, effective teaching for teens. Sister, you're late. All right, so what are we doing here? It's not Sunday school, but it's not adult church either. So, at one point in time, I'm not currently anymore the principal of our school, but at one point in time, I was children's ministry director, principal of our Christian school, and the youth leader. And so these kids just could not escape me. And so poor them. And there's still an element of that. You know, we have kids that we do 5 through 11, and so we have, Brother Baker, this is my last Sunday in Sunday school, because they're turning 12. I'm like, oh man, that's great. We'll see you Friday, because we have Friday night youth. And so then they see me, and then our youth age is 12 through whatever. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but it's just always been like that. So one thing is that you can't treat it. Now, I would venture to say that those that didn't go to Sunday school and they're like 18, 19, 20, if you did a Bible story like you do in Sunday school, they would probably love it. But if you go and you try to do that for the 12, 13-year-olds that just came out of Sunday school, they're like, no, this is dumb, this is not cool. So that's the first thing, is don't disregard the, quote, cool factor. Don't disregard the cool factor. And here's what I mean by that, is that you do have to have cool youth class, but it can't look like Sunday school, but it should have the same amount of effort that you put into it. It should have the same amount of effort. I just talked about in the last class, we do big decor and everything. We build these big, huge themes and all this, slides and everything. So with youth class, you need to put as much effort into that And so I just, for example, and I know that some of this is going to apply to on Sundays, but I am going to talk about my main experience, and hopefully you can learn something from it. We do youth. In fact, I had to slip out and send a bunch of text messages out because they're doing it tonight while I'm gone. But we do youth typically, for the most part, every Friday, 7:30 to 10 o'clock, 7:30 p.m. to 10 o'clock. So I start basically at 5. I prep way before that. We have the whole year lined out and all of that. But I start at 5, like I'm driving to the church and getting ready and setting up, and I'm usually trying to get somebody to help me and set up this cool game over here and do this activity over here. And so like I said in the last session, I know some people are still in here, it takes work. That's the secret behind it, is it takes work. There's no magic to it, sorry. If that's what you came from this class. So it takes work. So don't disregard the cool factor. And then it's more than pizza and games. I know somebody probably wrote fun in there. It's more than pizza and games. I remember talking to a youth leader, this has been years ago, and he was asking me for some tips and tricks. And he said, he's like, how many do you have in your youth? And at the time, I think it was like 40 or something. And I said, oh, around 40. He's like, man, that's a lot of young people to have in your house and get pizza. And and nothing wrong with that, but I was like, it's so different. That's not how we run youth. And I know some churches, they just, their youth night is full on church. They just have church. And that's fantastic. That's not what we do all the time. And so, but let's keep on going. Where am I at on time? 3:02. So I can push everything like 5 minutes, right? So I can get done it. Let me see what the text said. Sorry, hold on. What time am I supposed to be? I need to see what time he said to be done. Oh, it's WhatsApp. Where is that at? I do. Okay. So I can go to what? What time? 3:20. Whew, 18 minutes. Here we go. Okay, the setup. So, create the atmosphere for teens to walk into. Now, I failed to make my point great with that music. It was kind of cool and everything. But I just used this track, and that's why I wanted to use that song. I just used this track recently. But this might sound silly, and it's a very practical step. But just try it. It sounds silly, and the reason I know it sounds silly is I have staff that helps me, and I tell them, and invariably they just don't get it, and it's like they don't believe me. But you must, put a must over there. You must. Oh, it's right there. Okay, you must. What did I have a powerful impact? Whew. Oh, first impressions. There we go. First impressions have a powerful impact on how things will go. Okay, let me go back down. Let me go down to the bottom one. You must have blaring, upbeat music. You must have blaring. Now I know that wasn't really upbeat. I was trying to start it a certain way at our youth, but you must. Now, where I'm going with that, it sets the tone, and I guess maybe I just like music because in Sunday school we have nonstop tracks too. Yes, amen. But here's the thing: is like we'll do games, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but we'll do games and we'll split up. Like we'll split the youth. We have about 50-ish youth, and so we'll split, and then we'll rotate. So this group will go here, and they're going to do, some kind of Nerf war type thing. This group's over here, and they're doing like a dodgeball thing. This group's over here playing this other game in the dark, whatever. And then we'll rotate. They have a certain amount of time, and then it's like, okay, you're going there, you're going there, you're going. And so the thing is a lot of times that gets messy and confusing, and there's rules that you got to do and everything. But I say the key is when that new team walks into the fellowship hall for their game, that music should be blaring. It should be like, annoyingly. Walk in and then turn it down and go over the rules and everything. Because it sets up an impression. It sets up the first impression. And it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. Because I took about a year off, and the youth leaders, and they did a good job, but they didn't do that. So when I came back, the youth were like blown away just in the first 5 minutes. They were like, "This is awesome." I just had blaring music going. Okay, I have a drinking problem. I can't get it in my mouth. Start with a bang. All right, so, and then the first blank there is don't wait. So start with a bang. The thing about don't wait is if you wait, because teenagers, especially the cool ones, they get their license and they're really cool. Teenagers, do we have teenagers in here? So, yeah, see, she's cool back there. Oh, man, all kinds of cool teenagers. So they get their license, and do you guys, you're not a teenager. And you guys probably have never done this, but in Washington, people show up late. And so if you wait, because you're like, man, we only got, we started, when I first became youth leader, we had 13 youth. And so, but if you have 50 and there's 5, it's small. If you have a youth of 10 and you have 5, that's not a super bad deal. But so if you wait, you're like, well, we're just going to wait for a few people to show up. You'd like to hang out anyway. Don't do it. Our start time is 7:30. It will be 8 before you know it. So you have to start. Don't wait. You got to start, and start with a bang. And so, always have at least 2 games ready to go. And I designed this where, and again, I know this doesn't apply to maybe a Sunday school class where they kind of have to show up on time, but I'm just talking about my experiences. So if you have games ready to go, what I try to do is I try to have games that will work with a handful of people, right? So you don't need this big, huge group. Like we're not going to start our big dodgeball tournament at 7:30. Because I just know that not everybody's going to be there, and then it's gonna be kind of lame, when we get going. So I have 2 games like ready to go. Something like there's a game called I Need a Shoelace, and it's a game. It's simple. It's like no teams or anything. It's like I'll have them like, okay, I need 2 teams. Just split up. We're not picking teams. Split up, and then I Need a Shoelace game is where you're just calling like. It's a competition to see who can get all the stuff first. I need a shoelace. I need a comb. I need a penny. I need an 1980 penny. I need, it's like a scavenger hunt, but it's right there. It's just digging through their purse or like, oh, I know there's a ball over there, So things like that where it just gets them moving. They're like, okay, yeah, we're having fun. We're going. And they're like, 5 minutes long, whatever. So start with a bang. Have at least 2 games ready to go. All right, 3 rules for a youth game. Be prepared. That's number 1. Be prepared. This sounds a lot like Sunday school, doesn't it? So be prepared. And okay, I want to elaborate a little bit, but let's go through the blanks. So, and number 2 is explain quickly. Explain quickly, or at least engagingly. I made a video once that explained the rules to a really complex game. So we made a video. And the video took longer to make than the whole game was. All right, and then number 3, review ahead of time / be prepared. It's like the three rules of real estate: location, location, location. So be prepared, be prepared, be prepared. All right, so be prepared and the review ahead of time. I want to talk about that a little bit. It's kind of like an object lesson. Brother Booker always talks about, practice it ahead of time, do it ahead of time. So with games, I have found that a lot of times you can find a game somewhere, online. There's youth games all over, right? And it's like, this is going to be epic. This is so cool. And then when you get right down to it, you're like, okay, so how are they going to step over here? And you get into the details and the minutia of it, and it doesn't really work. And you're figuring it out live. All the teenagers are there, and they're like, this is dumb. Let's just go play dodgeball. And so be prepared and try to run. If you can't run through it physically, because sometimes you can't, you don't have enough people or whatever, but try to, I always try to think through all of the steps. Like, what's going to actually happen? What are they going to actually do? What does this really look like? And then what do I need for this? Oh man, I need some tape. Oh yeah, I don't know if I have this in here. I meant to put it in here, but I don't think I did. Blue tape, blue painter's tape. Just when you leave here, just go buy a thing of it. You're just going to need blue painter's tape because you can just do so much with it. Not duct tape. It's to mark stuff. It's to mark, like this is the starting line, or this is the hopscotch relay game that you got to play, and you got to tape your squares out, or this is the boundary box for the goal, or whatever. So blue tape. Okay, where are we at? The art of the lesson. So the art of the lesson. I'm already bored. So how to actually connect and make a difference. So number one is know your stuff. And this kind of is like with the game, is know what you are going to talk about. I have made the mistake. I mentioned in the last session that I end up, because it was called behind the scenes, I end up being on stage just all a bunch. And it's not my natural habitat. I am a behind the scenes guy. But people don't believe me that know me because I'm on stage so much and I'm on video and different things. But the key is, my point with that is that I have gotten to the place that I can go on the fly. It's not good. Like I've been asked to teach some lessons at our chapel for our Christian school. And I could show up and go on the fly, and it might be okay, because I have the experience. I've been doing it for 100 years, as my kids would say. And so I've been doing it a long time, and I have the experience. But the thing is that only takes you so far, and then if you combine the experience and the know-how with being prepared, then you can make a huge difference. You can make a huge impact. So know your stuff. Don't be figuring it out on stage. All right. Create interaction in your lesson. We're doing that right now. For those of you that are doing the blank, Brother Julian, I do not see your pen. Shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm talking about filling in the blanks. So you do interaction, and that's, I think, on probably the most base level, is you could have, your teens fill out an outline or something for your lesson. We don't do that very often at all, because the way that we are operating, the interactive part is off. Was somebody giggling, or was that a sneeze? So the way that we interact, like a lot of times I'll almost have the teens do the lesson. We'll do split discussions, and I'll give them the topics. And then they come back in, and it's like, we'll have a spokesperson, they'll do kind of a brief little deal, and then I'll talk about it. They just talked about it in their groups, and so they kind of have this, like, it's already got their mind going in that direction. And another thing that's really cool, I don't do this all the time, but another thing that's really cool is you can theme your whole night. It takes a lot of work, and you don't want it to be like Sunday school, but you can theme your whole night to what tracks you're playing, to the game, maybe has a point. 20-year-olds think that's dumb, but 13, 14-year-olds, they kind of get with it. So anyway, so you can theme your whole night. Where are we at? Okay, 3:14. Okay, and then the last one on art of the lesson. If you're not authentic, teens will see right through you. So let's go back up to the very top. Don't forget the cool factor. Okay, I'm 40-something. So if I dress like this just like all the time, because I dress for work and it's just easy and stuff, but I do own jeans and hoodies and things. But if I don't wear sweatpants in public ever. I don't think I even own a pair of sweatpants. But let's just say that I show up in sweatpants and, with the, Georgetown or something, I don't know. I show up in sweatpants and baggy, t-shirt, long sleeve t-shirt, and my hat on backwards or whatever, because I want to fit in with the young people. I mean, brother, you might be able to get away with it, I don't know. But I can't get away with that, because if I tried to do that, it would look stupid. So just be authentic. Be who you are. Be yourself. Kids will love you for who you are. Teens will love you for who you are. And so be authentic. Don't try to be fake. And here's the other thing is don't try to be like, I'm a Bible scholar. Don't get up there and, if you're not, if you are, great, but don't get up there and I am the authority in all things, and I'm going to teach you teenagers. Be authentic. We just recently had Brother Bart Adkins last Sunday at our church, and it was funny. He told a story about being pulled over and stuff, and he was mad at the police officer, and he had a right to be, and he said he peeled out. And he's like, he stopped, and he's like, oh, don't tell me you've never wanted to do that. And so he was being authentic, and so I think that sometimes, I've been guilty of it, sometimes we can be like, well, I gotta be perfect, and I can't let anybody know that I make mistakes. Let me give you a little secret. They already know. And they probably know what ones. Okay, let's rewind really quick. So this is back at the beginning. It's on the bottom, but it's at the beginning before all of this stuff. Start with anybody guess what that means? Huh? I heard somebody say something. Did you say band? Bang. Oh, yeah, no, that's very good, but I'm talking about the fill in the blank on the bottom, the rewind. So what you need to start with. But you're right, start with a bang, but start with a plan. Start with a plan. Okay, now, what that plan looks like, man, I'm losing my voice. What that plan looks like for us, for our youth ministry, this doesn't apply to everybody, and I hope that you can take a lot of these things that I'm talking about for Friday night and apply them to a Sunday school class if that's why you're here. But what that plan looks like for me is I plan out the entire year. Now, not in detail, but I plan out the entire year of what we're going to do. There's various conferences and rallies and stuff so we got to plan around all those. But we have kind of a general, I could probably pull it up, but we have a general format. I think I'll just do it from memory. But we have something we call Compass. And Compass, typically, my pastor will be there. But Compass is not designed for guests. Guests have came, and it's fine. But we don't do games at Compass, and it's not a youth service. Compass starts with a meal, and so we have various people that help plan it and prep it. And so it starts with a meal, just hanging out, and it's longer than what we typically do for a meal. It's probably about 30 minutes. So it starts with a meal, and then it goes into prayer usually, not always, but it goes into prayer. We go into the sanctuary, and we pray, not for a long time, 10 minutes or something. And then pastor talks to the youth. And it's not a youth service, but it's more like a youth service, but it's not a youth service. And a lot of times he'll do handouts, and he's just talking about pretty specific things. Recently he talked about making money. How spiritual is that? But he's talking about about specific things so our youth can grow. And then we have youth services. We have youth service that are just our youth only. We have youth rallies that we do with some churches, around in our fellowship. But we do youth services. We just did one, in fact, last Friday. We just did a youth service. So we do youth services, and it's full on. Back a long time ago we did this. We started doing them, and we were like, oh, let's do it casual. Let's be cool, and that's fine. I had no problem with that. But we try to make it like real service, right? Real youth service. And most of our singers or a lot of our singers and musicians in church, in big church, as we'd say in Sunday school, are the same people. So my son plays the piano. Well, he plays like everything, but he's a mean piano player. And so a lot of the youth are doing that. One young man that's in our youth preaches too, and so sometimes he'll preach. But we have the main difference is in our church we have pre-service prayer, and that's before it's like 20 minutes before service starts. With youth service we still start at 7:30 because I think it just gets I think nobody would show up anyway, and so 7:30, and then we do prayer, and we go into the service, and then we also typically have a longer song service. Okay, 3:20. My goodness, time flies. Okay, really quick, and then I just want to give you these things. Then the other thing we do, like what they're doing tonight, is called Next Level, NX Level. So Next Level is an extreme game night. And so extreme game night means, it does not mean chess or checkers or ping pong. Extreme game night is you better wear your running shoes. It's like, it's usually, I usually, here's another thing really quick with games. You can find all kinds of games on websites and everything. I almost always customize them. I customize them like a lot. I use usually what I find on the website as just a little kickoff point and then customize the games. Okay, we're out of time. The other one we do is, two other ones we do is Breakout. Breakout is just an off-site youth night, and it could be eating out is one we do, but it could be at the park, it could be going to play volleyball somewhere or something like that. And then, I said volleyball. You guys over here have sunny weather. You play volleyball. In Washington, we play volleyball. It's an indoor volleyball, but it's with walls. Okay, and then we do Thrive. Thrive is kind of like, it's a youth night at the church, 7:30 to 10, and it's got a mix of games, activities, a lesson, food, all of that. Okay, the last one. This is almost as key as the blaring music. Actually, it's probably more key. Run out of time before you run out of content. I do this in Sunday school too. Run out of time before you run out of content. It's way better to have like, oh man, we didn't get to play those 3 games, and you get to play them next time, than it is to, be like out of content. Like, what are we going to do for the next hour? So, okay, everybody's yawning, so we're done.